Welcome back to this week's episode of the Sideline Squeeze. I'm Victoria Daly.
And I'm Lindsay Aarons.
So jumping right into Thursday Night Football, last week was a thrilling win for the Ravens. The Bengals traveled to Baltimore when the Ravens pulling out a 35-34 win.
That was probably one of the best Thursday Night Football games that we've seen this entire season. Lamar Jackson just totally went off. He was 25 for 33, 290 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And also on the other side of things, Joe Burrow also had 4 touchdowns, 3 of which were to Jamar Chase. They were incredible in this game. I really thought that the Bengals were going to pull out this win in this game. What about you, Victoria?
Yeah, they came out really strong. The Bengals, the first drive, they're scoring, they're up 7-0. Then the game got a little back and forth. But I still kind of had faith in the Bengals. But, the Ravens, you never can count them out. And they came back at the end.
And at the end, it was actually pretty controversial what ended up happening because ended up being that the Bengals had the opportunity. They scored the touchdown, and they were down 34-35. They could either, kick the extra point and tie the game and send it to overtime or go for 2. And they ended up choosing to go for 2, which they did not convert on that.
I like to play it safe a lot. So that's why I cannot be a coach, because I like to play it safe. But I do think they should have went for just, kicked the extra point, went into overtime, trusted the defense. Their defense just had a big break because they just went down the field. But I do think you got to trust your defense in scenarios and hope that they come out big. But I know you also want to get that win, in our overtime rules in the NFL. If you don't start with the ball, it can be a little tricky.
I know that was a controversy actually that happened in the Monday Night Football game where it was Bucs versus Chiefs. Between there was the coin toss, going into overtime where it was Baker Mayfield and Patrick Mahomes. And right when Mahomes won the toss, Mayfield knew, okay, this game's over. The Bucs are going to win the game, and that is the Chiefs are going to win the game. Excuse me, and that's exactly what happened. Wow, I can't. And that's why.
I also think that looking back at the Ravens-Bengals game, there's that controversy over was it a flag, was it a penalty? What do you feel about that?
I think there were 2 penalties on that play. I don't know. I mean, you could see both Tanner Hudson was pulled down as he was going to make the grab, and before that even happened, Mike Gesicki was also being pulled down. So I think the refs just totally missed the ball on that. I don't know how they could miss 2 penalty calls that could be, deciding the game. What do you think, Victoria?
I agree. I just think if you see it, you got to call it. They call it for so many other teams. Not going back to the Chiefs, but Monday Night Football, the Chiefs are just always a team that always gets those calls that they always end up pulling out a win. They're 8-0. I don't think they should be.
I agree with you.
I think they really lucked out that they won that overtime game. But, speaking from one overtime game to another, though, Syracuse pulled out a huge overtime victory last Saturday versus Virginia Tech in the Dome.
That game was incredible. I mean, so many people were leaving because they thought the game was over. I mean, we were trailing 21-3 at one point. So it's just crazy how they turned that around. LaQuint Allen was totally the hero of this game. He had 3 touchdowns, all of which came in the second half because the first half was really just a disaster for Syracuse. They had allowed 2 back-to-back touchdowns to start the game off, 14-0. Came out with a field goal, to make it 14-3 going into the half, and then it ended up being 21-3 in the third quarter. So, like I said, at that point, everybody was leaving. They thought this game was over.
But a lot of people left, and they missed a big controversy around halftime. Virginia Tech's kicker, John Love, he came out and he was kicking field goals at halftime, which nothing wrong with it, but Syracuse's band was performing, and he really got in the way of all them, and people were telling him, get off the field, they're playing, and there's a lot of pressure to play in front of a crowd as it is, and now you have this kicker just getting in your way, and he just kept going. He even hit some people with the balls, and the band got really upset. The students got really upset. There was names we can't say on air being called at him, but the next day he did apologize, but you were winning 14-3 at halftime. Where was the anger from?
There was just no need to act so disrespectful, I think. I mean, there were multiple people had to go up to him and say, hey, the band is performing. You're literally getting in their way, before he finally agreed to move. It was just, so much disrespect from a road team to go into another team's house and act like that. I don't know.
But, on the positive side, then, the second half went through, and then we get to the end of the game, and the game goes into overtime. Explain that.
It was a crazy ending to the game. I mean, we had been down, and then LaQuint Allen had scored a touchdown with 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter, sending it to overtime. And then once overtime hit, Syracuse won the coin toss, and we ended up getting the ball first. But college rules do differ from NFL rules in that way, where both teams do get the chance to possess the ball. So LaQuint Allen had scored a touchdown for Syracuse to, give them the lead. And then
it was amazing.
It was incredible. I mean, everybody was going crazy. Who would have thought that we would have had a chance to pull out that win after trailing by so much early on? But then once Virginia Tech got the ball, Syracuse defense stepped up big. Marlo Wax forced a fumble, which is what really ended this game and gave Syracuse the win.
It was great energy, and now Syracuse is on the road this week. They are traveling to Boston College on Saturday for a noon game. I'm really excited. How do you feel about the game?
I feel pretty good about it. I mean, I'm hoping that they'll have a lot of momentum after that huge win against Virginia Tech, that they'll be able to take that with them against Boston College and come out with a win.
Perfect. Well, that's all we have for this week's episode of the Sideline Squeeze. I'm Victoria Daly.
And I'm Lindsay Aarons.
We'll see you next week.